Hey everybody, welcome back. This is going to be a mini episode. I know I've said that before and it hasn't been a mini episode, but this is going to be a pretty short episode of Man vs. Mob. So I was on my friend Kush's podcast earlier. It's called The Geek View. You can find it on YouTube. And we recorded an episode for about an hour and 45 minutes. It's not out yet, but he's going to be coming out with it soon. He's kind of getting back into the grind of releasing content. And I talked about something that related to superheroes, which is something that Kush really generally enjoys, and I don't know as much about it, but I find superheroes pretty cool, and this is tying superheroes to our current situation to something that I think we should bring about in some way or another. So let me jump into it. So we're really as a culture obsessed with superhero narratives right now, and we have moved from religious narratives to national narratives to government slash political party narratives, and we've kind of been let down progressively by each of these, and particularly right now we feel like our institutions are failing us. So a lot of people are looking at classic hero narratives, and a lot of them have religious overtones, but we look for sort of a savior or somebody to help us out of these situations. And I think what we need is a real world sort of equivalent to the Justice League or the Avengers. And you might laugh when I say that, but I'm not actually talking about like crime fighting vigilantes or anything like that. I'm talking about how we have these two domains where one is the more social domain of government and the citizenry, and then you have the creative entrepreneurial domain, innovative domain of Silicon Valley and technology, and soon various forms of artificial intelligence and whatnot. But there's not much overlap between the two. So you have like the more libertarian side and then generally the more socialist minded side, and there's no crosstalk between the two. There's lobbying and kind of corruption between the two, but there's no real uh mediator between these two realms of technological innovation and thought and interpersonal intelligence, the technical intelligence, the interpersonal intelligence, which I've talked about before. So there needs to be a group of people that collaborates, people who are a mix of both the technical and the interpersonal, who can basically discuss topics and meet together and devise solutions and spend their time really getting into the nitty gritty of what needs to change down to the incentives that exist that need to be changed over to new incentives. And the goal ultimately is to work with both the innovative technical side and the societal interpersonal side and sort of meld them together, and also have the content and the conversations be public facing. So on YouTube and through podcasts and through uh, potentially other forums, but a group of people who's almost like, I don't know if you want to call them a brain trust or if you want to call them a group of almost like mind vigilantes, where they're coming up with ideas that aren't going to otherwise come through the normal expected or hoped for channels. And I think that this is a way for people to feel like they have a voice again. Also, for the average person, technology is just sort of accelerating and is an out of control reaction that they can't really have a say in. And government is just a broken down system that they also don't feel like they really have a say in. So through this third avenue, it could be like a new checks and balances, like a superstructure that exists above the existing system, if you think about what the founding fathers were going for when they originally built the checks and balances between the various parts of the government, executive, legislative, and judicial, and they kind of hold each other in check like the flaps on the top of a box. So the same thing needs to happen with these groups that are above those checks and balances, where moving forward, we have the technical sphere, the government sphere, and then the mediator sphere. And the mediator sphere can kind of be really an avenue for new forms of journalism and education, and an anti-propagandist notion of trying to inform the public and allow the public to engage in solutions oriented thinking rather than just uh, enemy oriented thinking and binary thinking. So I see this idea of an Avengers or a Justice League to be kind of what this group of people is, where they they willingly take on these challenges that aren't otherwise going to happen, and they're not doing anything illegal. They're just literally opening the floodgates to ideas and to effectively trying to create the narrative and the vision and the ethics of what's coming, and to bring people from their utter division right now back towards an attempt at unifying people around common goals. So this connects to things that I've previously talked about, like the idea of a constitutional convention, modern, and designing a bunch of retrofits to existing institutions and networking and bringing technology into it. So stay tuned. This idea is developing, but I think it's really going to turn into something a lot bigger, and I'm hoping to develop it quite a bit in 2021, because 2020 is coming to a close, and I think we're all pretty thankful about that right now. I'm looking for something to be hopeful about in 2021. So happy holidays, and I'll talk to you soon. Stay tuned for a couple more little episodes.